Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video we're going to be taking a look at one of the most controversial things that I've seen in Smash in a pretty long time, and that is going to be Steve and should we ban him? Because this character has a lot of discourse on Twitter right now, especially after Aquila and Onin just got top 2 at Let's Make Moves Miami, even though they were the top 2 seeds, but we'll get to that later I guess. There is a ton of people just like saying, yes, we need to ban this character right now, and I will say, Tourney Locator is doing this in a pretty interesting way. They are banning Steve for a week at a time. Like 1 week they ban Steve, 1 week they ban Kazuya. They're just testing out these different bans. And the player, if your character gets banned, you get a free admission to the tournament, which I think is really cool. Tourney Locator, by the way, if you don't know, is like a Texas local. So they're going to see if the viewership goes up, if people attend the tournament more, just to see if is Steve actually hurting the game at a local level, which I think is a really good way to do it. Because it's not like, it sucks for the Steve bans, but at least they get that free admission. They are still welcomed because people like forget to separate the player and the character a lot. And I think that's a really big problem in Smash in general. A lot of fighting games in general too, but especially in Smash since the scene has blown up so much. It's like people will hate on Steve players because they play a character in a video game, but a lot of people forget it's like this character is a tool and nothing more. It doesn't matter, like playing Steve doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you someone that wants to win, and you think that your chances are winning, or chances of winning are the best with Steve. And a lot of people just don't seem to get that. They give a lot of hate, especially towards like Onin, Akla, Jake, Yanni. I'm sure every Steve gets it, but like those are some that I can think of off the top of my head. Just like a lot of really unnecessary, just bad stuff. But that's not the point. Is don't hate on people on Twitter. It's just weird. But anyway, I think the bans at Tourney Locator are a cool idea. It's going to make the Steve players honestly better because they're going to learn more neutral with more characters. And it's going to give people a chance that don't want to play against these DLC characters to have some fun again in a normal tournament, grind a little bit. Maybe they'll get more used to Steam matchup because some Steve players are there. I don't know, but I think it's a cool idea. I'll leave a link to it in the description. And you should check out a Tourney Locator tournament, see how they do. But there's some other things I want to talk about as well. I think that, and this is personally, Steve should not be banned competitively. So what I mean in that sense is he shouldn't be banned from a competitive standpoint because he is nowhere near broken enough to be banned. While he is probably the best character in the game, at least in a tournament setting, and he changes the way of the game works, with blocks specifically, there is other characters that do that, like Shulk with Monado. Shulk is stupid with Monado. He shouldn't have that. Or like Hero arguably with Menu. He shouldn't have that. That's really dumb. All the like Arsene, like this kind of stuff, it changes the way the game is played because you have to play around it. Waft as well. Block is probably the biggest. It's Blocker Monado, the biggest changer of it. And I think that's another reason a lot of people don't like Steve is because they don't want to learn how to play around it. So fair enough, honestly. But competitively, it's like, yes, Steve is really good. Do I think he is so good that he needs to be banned? No, I don't even think it's close. Could I see it in like a year or two? Honestly, yes. If like, okay, let's say Yofi's going to poor priority. Let's say he plays well. Like he gets good neutral and he's hitting combos that he normally hits. Then I can say confidently, okay, maybe we do need to ban this character competitively because the amount of stuff that Steve's can be doing is broken. But right now, it's nowhere close to near being bannable. And then it's like, okay, let's ban it before that happens. And I think that's really silly. It's like, I feel like it's cutting off the potential of the game. Seeing how far we can become as players, how good we can be. And I think just cutting it off because the character could become too good is honestly really dumb. That'd be like the second we find an infinite on Link and someone finds, oh, this is practical? Okay, let's ban Link because that's not fair in tournament. Like banning Diddy Kong when we saw that he had a pyramid scheme. It's just like, things like that, and while it's like they're not really comparable, you get the point I'm trying to make. It's like stunting a character's growth way before their meta's even done developing just feels really lame, honestly. I just really don't like it. And all the hours that these Steve mains are putting into learning these combos to getting really good. Like the top level Steve mains, a lot of them are amazing. They have really good combos, really strong tech. Like I think for tournament Steves right now, it's like probably Yanni, Aquila, Onin are like the best combo-wise, and their combos are super impressive. Again, Yofi, I've mentioned him before, even though he hasn't really gone to tournaments, his tech is insane, and just forcing him to drop the character because they're banned now, because people didn't want to, like, to say it bluntly, learn the matchup, I think it sucks. But the other side of that is you don't need all that tech to be absolutely crazy, and I think that is the main problem with Steve. You can just like do your neutral bread and butter combos for 50 to 60. You can kill really early with like sword attacks. You can just random anvil. Minecart's really good, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with it, and a lot of people won't know how to deal with it. Just straight up. It's like one of those checkmate moves. It's like early game ultimate Zelda down B. People didn't know what to do, so they just lost to Zelda, and everyone complained. It's like, this character's stupid, I hate this character. Nowadays, it's like, okay, you can hate Zelda for different reasons, but I feel like people dealt with Phantom. They know how to deal with it now, and I think the same thing will happen with Minecart, but people just don't want to weigh it, on top of there being other things, but I think, like, just like Something people complain about a lot would be like minecart. That is just one specific example. But again, the point is, Steve players, there's a lot of top Steve players that are putting in a ton of work, and it's going to get invalidated because people don't want to learn the matchup at a lower level for a majority. Because I do think while the lower level is probably the most important part, it just sucks to see that these top level Steves are going to get their growth stunted. Specifically, again, my view for this, I should have said this at the start, is I'm thinking of the top level of the game, the best of the best, the people that are going to grind, the people that are going to learn the matchups. I think Steve shouldn't be banned there. But at a local scene, I think it's absolutely valid to be Steve for to be banned. If you're like a TO and you're watching this video for consolidation, please don't find another opinion. But you should be like, okay, what are a majority of people saying? Do most people want Steve banned? And then if it's yes, okay, we should test ban the character, see how it does for our scene, like again, like tourney locator's doing, and then accommodate the Steve players to show, again, it is not a bias towards you, we just don't really like the character. Because, for the last time, separate the player from the character. Very important. Another thing I want to talk about is Onin and Aqua, because they get a ton of hate, obviously, we've already talked about that. But people don't realize that they are amazing players. Sorry about that. But while a lot of people look at Onin and Aqua like they are just Steve players, people don't realize that they have incredible neutral and crazy advantage and crazy reads. Like, they are amazing players. And while, yes, they are absolutely carried by Steve, because everyone's carried by their character, but Steve players, a little bit more, I will say. They're still really, really good. Like, I think Akla, for example. Akla lost to Mudace 3-0 and then won Game 5 against him in the runback. And that's not just because Steve is broken, that's because Akla learned how to adapt, is a really good player, and he got the win. Like, people are just, like, undermining every time a Steve player beats someone, Steve beats someone. But every time someone beats a Steve player, they beat, like, Akla. If Mudace beats Akla, he beat Akla. But if Mudace loses to Akla, he lost to Steve. And people are like, if you know the Steve matchup, you should just be beating the Steve players. But, like, these top-level Steve players, they're top 10 for a reason. There's a ton of amazing Steve players, but Akla and Onin specifically, they're a cut above the jib. Not only can they play Steve really well, they can play Ultimate really, really well, and that is why they are so far ahead. And I think banning Steve could honestly be good for Steve players if he ever does get unbanned, or like a temp ban, like I said. I don't know if I mentioned this, but like Yanni is in Texas region. I think he said he's been playing like Roy at locals. I honestly think, even though Yanni has been playing the game for a while now he has that experience as a top player and that lens that he didn't have before. Now he's going to be able to play the game, have a lot better neutral just because he's a top player. Maybe he's going to start understanding things more. He goes back to Steve. Now he's crazy again because he has that better understanding of the game. And I think that'd be really sick to see, but I think a lot of people don't realize that just because you're playing Steve doesn't mean you're 100% carried and you're bad. A lot of Steve players that are at this top level are still amazing, but then again, we go back to the issue, a lot of these low-level Steves that are going like just 2-2 or 3-2 at tournaments, which is pretty good. Most people go 0-2 at a tournament. Going 2-2 is an impressive feat, don't get me wrong. But going 2-2 is like, okay, they don't really need a ton of insane stuff. They could just kind of like have their bread and butters, hit like 1 or 2 smash attacks, and they'll probably win most sets because people don't know what to do. That is a problem, and I'm going to admit, that's a pretty big problem, but also, like, you can do that with Rob, you can do that with Aegis, you can do that with Kazuya, and all those characters are arguably should be banned. Big air brackets around arguably, but you could do that with Pokemon Trainer, Sonic, Palu, Bowser probably, Incineroar. Like, there's a ton of characters you can do that with, where you can just kind of cheese your opponents or have these options. It just Steve so happens to have the strongest options out of all of that. And then also, probably the biggest and most important thing for me, whether you want Steve banned or not, you absolutely have to wait at least until the Panda Cup and the Smash World Tour are done. Because banning a character mid-circuit is really stupid. Just straight up, let's say I'm Akla Onin, I qualify for Panda Cup, woohoo, let's go. Oh, my character, my main tool, is banned now. It doesn't matter how good of a player you are, unless you are MK Leo or have an amazing secondary like Proto already, you're probably going to do terrible this tournament because your main character that you've been committing to for over like a couple of years now is just gone. Like, imagine we banned, there's 2 Bayonettas right now in the Panda Cup. Imagine we banned Bayonetta. Now Lima and Deathspade both have to find new mains. They're both amazing players, but now they're probably going to do terribly at Panda Cup because they are on new characters. Let's say Light. Let's say Light gets Fox banned because he's been farming everyone. Now Fox is banned. Light probably doesn't do well at Panda Cup without Fox. He probably does okay, because he's, like, insane. His neutral's crazy. But he does nowhere as... God, that's not a sentence. He doesn't do as good as he would with Fox, obviously. But it's like, banning these characters mid-season, you're just screwing over these Steve players that have worked hard, that have qualified, that have earned these spots. Whether you think they're carried or not, it doesn't matter, because they have gotten the wins, they've gotten the spots, they have officially earned it, and you can like it or not, they got it. And taking that away from them would just be really dumb, really unfair, and IMO just really petty. So I think, again, Banning them at a local scene, absolutely fine. No problem with that. Banning them even like at a mid-level scene at a regional, arguably okay. I think it's fine. Banning them at majors is, I don't think we should do it right now, but especially never should we be banning them at Smash World Tour and like gold events, platinum events, maybe silver events. Actually, yeah, silver events too, honestly, and then Panda Cup as well. Even though we're already almost done with that, and I think at the end of Panda Cup and Smash World Tour, we can talk about banning them at a more major level. I don't think it'll honestly ever happen because Nintendo and Panda Cup are like that's a thing now. So if it continues again, I highly doubt Nintendo would be okay with us banning the character because they don't really understand how this game works. But I think the discussion for banning Steve is pretty okay. I think honestly the character probably should be banned at a local level, just in a term of healthiness for the game, for the lack of a better phrase. I think a lot of people, majority of people, would be happy if Steve was banned, and it would suck for a lot of those Steve players, and I do sympathize with them. And again, me personally, I don't think this character should be banned, but I'm always someone that's like, you should do your best to win, and you should adapt. And a lot of people disagree. They just want to play for fun, and that's absolutely fine. You don't have to be a super tryout at every tournament you go to. You want to win every single time. Like, you should be playing for fun. I have fun, like, learning these matchups and, like, doing the best I can. But a lot of people, it's like, I just want to play where I can actually play. And again, absolutely fine. Everyone is allowed to have an opinion on this. Everyone's opinion is valid. But please, just be respectful about it. Don't be weird. Everyone's a person. Talk to them like they are. Just because you're online doesn't mean you can be an ass, just for just to put it bluntly. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If I missed anything like super major that I should have talked about, again, let me know down below. Discussions below, especially on this video, would be really nice. I just want to know what people think about the topic. And for the gameplay as well, I think I just had like balloons on the screen or something, because I honestly have no idea what to put on, because I know most people don't want to watch Steve sets. And I can't really record Smash, plus I don't even know if you guys want to watch my Smash gameplay. I'm kind of washed. But if you guys have any idea how should be formatting the videos, any suggestions really, trying to get better with the content, I think it has been a lot with your guys' help. Just constant support, it's really encouraging. And yeah, thank you guys for everything. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to sub, all that yada yada. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.